high school.
What were your thoughts of Pearl Harbor?
In Troy, New York, that was. In high school in Troy, New York. What did we think about it?
What were your thoughts on Pearl Harbor when you found out the attack?
Well, I think all the boys in school were ready to put a uniform on and go, but they wouldn't let us out of school. We weren't old enough. So we didn't approve of it, that's what you want to know. And since after the war, my wife and I took a trip down to Pearl Harbor. So I know what we saw down there was just what they said told us on D-Day, or when Pearl Harbor was bombed. It was just like that.
In your article, it said that you signed up for the war. Did you sign up because of Pearl Harbor, or were there other reasons?
No, I was drafted.
You were drafted?
I was in the draft, yeah. As soon as you got 18 years old, you were drafted. And, of course, Pearl Harbor was a little bit before that. It was 41, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Harbor, and this was 42, late 42. And when I was drafted, I went into the service and we went down to Camp Upton down in Long Island. From there we went shipped down to Alabama, Fort McClellan, Alabama. We took our basic training down there. And you've probably heard about basic training. Different troops study that. And when we finished there, we came back to New York City or New Jersey, and they shipped us out to North Africa. And it took us 22 days on a boat to go to North Africa. So today you can fly over there in 6 hours. Quite a difference. Want me to just keep talking?
Your commander was Colonel Frederick?
General Frederick.
General Frederick. What was it like being under his command?
Oh, he was great. He was a great man. He, I believe he lived in California. And he started out as a colonel when I first met him. He was a colonel. And he made general. And he was tough. He had a total mark of anything he did. You had to do it right or you didn't do it. So we spent some time in North Africa, and from there we went over to Sicily and drove the Germans out of Sicily, and then we went into Italy, down southern part of Italy, by Salerno. And we started going up the boot of Italy, driving the Germans north. What else do you want to know?
What were your thoughts when you were pursuing the Germans?
Well, I'll say this one thing for the Germans: they were great fighters. They were really good soldiers. We were tough, and they were tough too. And that's what made the war so hard. And we took the 11 months to go from southern Italy to Rome, Italy. It took us 11 months to walk the whole length of Italy, fighting the Germans all the time. And I don't know whether you heard about Antio, inquired about Antio at all. We spent about 4 months on Antio living in the ground because the Germans were up high on the mountains and we were down on the flats down there, and we didn't attack the mountains. We stayed down at the bottom, which was a mistake. We should have gone up on the mountains when we first went in there. But we spent 4 months down living in the ground till one day we decided, the authorities had decided that we were going to go and try and take Rome We were about 50 miles south of Rome, which we did. We took Rome about 2 weeks later. When I say we took it, we liberated Rome. And you see, when you win the war that I was in, when we went into Italy, we went in as liberators, not conquerors, liberators. We were liberating the country. The same way in France. We liberated France, but when we went into Germany, now we're conquering Germany. You see, we're the real enemy. We were liberating these other countries so that those people could live right. So all this took probably 2.5 years to go from Africa, and I ended up in Norway. I spent 6 months in Norway after we got through in Germany. We went up to Norway to round up the German troops that were in Norway and send them back. It was near the end of the war, and we sent them all back down to Germany. And then we finally left Norway, and it took us 10 days to come out of Norway to come back home by boat. So it was quite a trip. I always say it was only first paid vacation we ever went on. We used to get $60 a month. It was a big pay, you know. But, it was a good experience. And I always say I'm glad I was there and not young people like you. So any other questions you want to ask me?
How was the food?
Sometimes it was good and sometimes it wasn't too good. But, depends on where you were. If we were in a back area where we can bivouac and take showers and so on, and the food was good. But when you were doing the fighting, you used to get C rations, was a little can about so big, or a D ration, it was a little box like this with little cans of meat and crackers, and that's about it. And we survived. But, it was a good experience. Anything else you want to know? You must have some questions in your book.
What were you relieved when you had minor injuries?
Oh, just temporarily, you know. I think the first time when I first got wounded was in a little town Artina, Italy. I was right outside of Anzio, Nettuno, Anzio. And I was out for about 4 days in the hospital. And the second time in southern France, I was out for about a day and a half. In the Army, in those days, it didn't really get real damage done, like losing an arm or a leg or something like that. You stay right there and fought. You know, they need all the men they could get. So, but I got a picture here. I just happened to run into this. If you're interested in it. This is was sent over to us from. He can get this on camera now. We're honorary citizens of this town of Nettuno, Italy. This is by Anzio. And this was sent over by the mayor of the town back in 1994, I think it was. And this shows is honorary citizen of this town, Nettuno. And this came from Italy. It was sent over to all the men in my organization that was on Anzio. So we thought that was pretty good. We also have some plaques over in Italy and outside of Nettuno and this Artina where I was wounded. We had, at that battle, we had 45 men got killed at that battle. And I just heard this past year that the people of that town that lived there had put a big plaque up with the names of all the soldiers in my organization that was killed in that battle going in there, which we thought was pretty nice. And that's 50 years after the war. These people are still remembering us over there. So I just happened to find that when I heard you were coming.
Mm.
Can you see that up there? Yeah.
Yeah, got it pretty well. Thanks.
It's extraordinary because only my organization got it, the men in my outfit. And we were only about 3,000 men strong in my organization. So it was a special organization. Anything else you'd like to know?
Did you find yourself lucky in the end of the war?
Lucky?
Lucky.
Yeah, I think I was lucky all through the whole war. As long as you came back alive, you were lucky. So I don't think we'd want to do it again. So, any other questions?
Why don't you show email?
Oh, in that room there, John, if you want to look at something. You can't run that camera.
Okay.
There's some metal back there. Metal hanging on the wall. I know what you want.
Was the new liberated Buchenwald?
The Buchenwald concentration camp. Yeah,
What was that like?
that's one thing I don't really talk too much about. I don't talk too much about the whole war to start with, but that was a real experience in there. And I don't know if you ever seen any pictures on television about the concentration camps. Well, some people say they weren't there, but they were there. And it was something that you wouldn't want to see. But it's just like you see on television. It shows. I can remember it was bodies all over the place, dead bodies, and a lot of live people that looked like they should have been dead, and they weren't feeding them. Their food in those camps was potato soup. That's all they used to feed them. And they would work the prisoners until they died. And then they'd put them in their ovens and burn them up. And I can remember in some of the barracks, at the end of each barracks, there was a room probably half as big as this room, and those bodies stacked right up in there. All people that had died in that barracks, they just tracked them down, throw them in the room at the end of them. So it was a bad situation. So you don't want to eat for a week after you go through a place like that. You know. But that was really was concentration camps. Don't let anybody tell you that they weren't there.
Were you angry with the Nazis upon seeing those camps?
No, I don't think so. I think a little different situation when you're right there. You never really got mad at the Nazis because they were doing their job. And their job was to kill us, and our job was to kill them. And we weren't mad at them. We just doing our job. You know. I suppose inwardly we might have been mad. I don't know. I don't remember that much about it. But I guess the only time we got mad at them was when we had to go and fight them, when we should have been back downtown having a party or something. You know. But concentration camps were no good. The only thing I can tell you. Any other questions you can think of? We shipped up to Norway just before the end of the war. We were in Germany, then we went up to Norway to liberate the Norwegian people. And the Russians and the Polish troops came down from northern Norway, and we went into southern Norway down by Oslo or Oslo. And it was a beautiful country, Norway was. It was almost like Lake George. You saw a lake or something in the mountains, you know. It was a really nice place. And but the Germans were using Norway for a rest camp. They would send their retired troops and so on up to Norway, and they had 400,000 of them up there. we shipped back, my outfit shipped 100,000 back to Germany. And it was time for us to come home. Anything else you want to know?
What are your thoughts when you're in battle?
When you're in battle,
Mm-hmm.
keep your head down. Keep your head down. When in an actual battle, you're just thinking what you have to do to stay alive. And it's either you get killed or you have to kill the man that's trying to kill you. You know, you don't have much time to think about anything, but just you get this one over with till the next one comes along. So, battles, we don't like to talk too much about battles because a lot of your friends got killed.
Warren, tell her about the night raids you used to go on.
Do I?
The night raids.
My wife is talking about night raids. I guess we got a reputation of doing a lot of our work at night, fighting at night. And we used to get in behind the German lines. And, yeah, I had a couple of those stickers. I just found some. And we had, my organization was, I don't know, an arrowhead. That was our patch that we had on our shoulder. And we used to take them, sometimes we'd get in on a raid, and we'd have to get some dead Germans. We used to stick one on their forehead. And we got a reputation of being black devils because we do that at night, you know. I don't know whether a good reputation or a bad reputation, but we had it. But that was part of the war. That's the way you fought. And the old saying, first come, first serve. I don't know what else I can tell you. The only thing I can tell you is don't let them have another war like this, John.
Yeah.
So you young fellows don't go.
What were your thoughts when President Roosevelt died?
I don't think I can answer that question because it just, you probably just heard about it and just went about our business. You know, we didn't have time to think about the President Roosevelt. We were thinking about what we're going to do today, you know. And I suppose we were a little bit upset over it because he was, well, I'll tell you, there was some, when I stopped thinking about it now, there was some funny remarks made because the president sent out the notice that he wanted to draft all the boys, you know. So he said, there's a guy that drafted us, and he's dead now. So in those days, he probably made just a little fun out of it or something, you know.
Knowing what was happening in Germany, what was it like growing up?
What do you mean?
What was it like growing up, knowing that something was going on in Germany?
Before I went into service, you mean? I don't think we knew anything about it. You know, in those days, you didn't have television. Just what you read in the newspaper. And I think, how old are you, John?
Right now?
How old are you?
22.
22. So
Yep.
I was in service then. I was getting out at 22. Like I said, we didn't have television, and anything you read in the newspaper. And when we were 17 and 18 years old, before we went into service, we didn't read the newspaper much. We were out having fun, you know, going roller skating and whatever we did. So really, we didn't have too much thought to what was going on in the world, because you didn't hear anything. Even when we were in the service, somebody got hurt or wounded, my wife would tell you, they didn't hear anything about it for 6 months. and you might find out somebody got killed that lived in their neighborhood. So communication was nothing like it is today. Today, and what, like they do down in Iraq, if they don't have their television set on, they don't know what's going on. So we really didn't have too much thoughts about war with Germany until Pearl Harbor started, got bombed, and then we started thinking about war.
Were you mad at the Japanese?
I'm still mad at them. My wife will tell you that. As I always say, I wouldn't buy anything Japanese, because if you ever have the opportunity to go to Pearl Harbor, they'll show you around down there. Kids got a chance yet to go, and then you'll find out exactly why we were mad at them, you know. But that was a long time ago too. Anything else got in your mind?
We could grab the medals, and
Pardon me?
would it be alright if we got some footage of the medals real quick?
You wanna look at
Camera
them?
first.
Yeah.
Don't ask me the last question first.
What did you talk about with your buddies?
What's that?
What did you talk about with your buddies?
What did we talk about? Girls. That was the main subject. Where are the girls? You know, to be honest with you. And what are we gonna do when we get out of this war? Every day was a different day when you were in the service. I don't know what you were doing when we were in actual battle. You didn't talk about anything. Just find out how many guys are left when you get through with that particular battle. And then you might talk about what we didn't do or what we should have done. Things like that. But other than that, we just had general talk like you would have today. You know, what are you going to do when you go home? So that's the only thing that was on your mind was when are we going home? You know? And I know different times when we were in Italy and we got shipped up, or went into southern France, and we got pulled back from the battle, and they shipped us up north towards La Havre, that's up on the British, the English Channel. We thought, sure, we're going home, you know, that's why we were shipping up there. But we didn't. They moved us right into Germany, and we got into a couple more battles in there. So, but that was the main subject is, when are we going home? So we were interested. And it took us about 2.5, almost 3 years to get home. So when you see these fellows going into service today and they go away for 6 months and they're crying they can't come home. You know why? Okay, what's your next one?
How close did you come to the enemy?
How close? How about you and me? That's close enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, occasionally we got pretty close. Close enough that either you won or he won, one or the other. So I'm here today, so I can fortunately say I won a few battles.
What was your motivation to keep going?
You know, wouldn't go home. That's the only answer I can give you. That was I think that was on every GI's, when I say GI, you know what I mean? Every soldier's mind. And it's probably the same way today down in Iraq. Those guys want to know when they're going home. You know, they don't want to be down there any more than I would want to be down there. think that was the main thing. That was on everybody's mind. When we're gonna get this over with and go home. In fact, a lot of times we used to kind of hope maybe we'd get wounded just enough to get sent home. But you had to lose an arm or an eye or a leg or something like that. Didn't work out too good.
Where were you when the war ended, and how did you feel about it?
We just went into Norway, and we were pretty happy that it was over. That, we knew there would be no more fighting, you know. And again, we were going to go home. That was the main thing. That was on everybody's mind. But it was a good experience.
Did your family know what you were doing in Norway? And
No.
how did they feel about that?
No. My family was my father and my brother. My mother died just before I went into the service when I was 17. And I wrote to my father once in a while when I got a chance to write, but you really couldn't explain to anybody what you were doing, because when you wrote a letter, your commanding officer would read the letter to see that you weren't telling things that you were not supposed to, you know. And if there was something in there they thought was against the rules and regulations, they'd scratch it right out of your letter. So you didn't write that much. And so that your family didn't, when I went into the service, I said to my father, over in Hudson Falls, Hoosick Falls, you ever been down to Hoosick Falls? It's down by Greenwich. And I got on a train down there, and I said to my father, I'll be back. 3 years later, he picked me up down in Troy on a bus, and I said, I told you I'd be back. So, we didn't communicate too much.
How do you feel towards the Germans today?
German people?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the German people knew what they were getting into, and I think the German people were fine. They just had some radical guy, Hitler, got them all buffaloed, and thought they were going to live a lot better than they were living. That's what he told them. So I don't think the German civilians really couldn't get mad at them. They were just, the soldiers were doing their job just like we were doing our job. So you really couldn't get mad. The only people I got mad at was the Japanese. The way they pulled that thing down to Pearl Harbor wasn't really cricket. You know. How's our time going?
In your article, you mentioned that you stayed with somebody on a ship, I believe?
Oh, I met a fellow on the ship, yeah. Well, when we were training, after we liberated Rome, we went back down through Italy, to the lower end of Italy, and we were doing some, what we call rubber boat training. In other words, we didn't know what we were getting ready for, but we finally found out we were getting ready to make an invasion of southern France, down the Riviera, Marseille, and down through there. And we were trained on U.S. destroyers to go in offshore with these rubber boats. And I met a fellow from New York. And in those days, in the service, the first thing you say to another fellow that you just met, where are you from? And he'd say New York, you know. Well, if he was from New York City and you were from Lake George, you were just next door neighbors in those days. You know, so he was just as good a friend as you and I would be. So this fellow I met, he was from New York City. And he was great. He gave me his hat that you saw in that newspaper article. And I still have that hat downstairs. But ready to go over to make our landing in Italy, or in southern France. I was just getting ready to get, did you ever see the men in the movie going down on the nets on the side of the boat? Have you seen it? Ever seen it, something like that? I was just getting ready to get on, and he called me. He stuck 2 turkey sandwiches down my shirt. I think about 2 days later, I got a chance to eat them. He was a nice guy. I don't know whether he's living or not. I never got his address or anything like that. But he was a nice guy. So he met a lot of nice people. And then he met some not so nice ones too.
So those were your fond and happy recollections?
Oh yeah, we had some good times. We went down into after we liberated Rome, we had a chance to go down to the Colosseum in Rome and see the way. And my wife and I took a trip to Rome. We went over to Europe a few years ago, and we went to the Colosseum. It brought back memories. One thing I saw, I don't think I'll ever see again, as we were north, working our way up through Italy, Mount Vesuvius. There's Mount Vesuvius, it's an active volcano. It was actually smoking. When we went by that mountain, I could see the smoke coming out of the top of it. And then I didn't know it at the time, but about a month later, we were further up north, it did erupt, Mount Vesuvius. I read that in the paper when I got home. It wasn't a bad eruption, it was an eruption. So it was quite a thing to see a real volcano in those days.
What did you think of Truman's decision when the atomic bomb was launched from the Japanese?
What did I think about it? We should have dropped it about 6 months or a year earlier. Quicker the better. I think it was well, we had to do that because, as you probably know, everybody will tell you the same story. If we didn't do it and we invaded Japan, there would have been thousands of men killed, more Americans killed. I don't care how many Japanese got killed, but one American is worth 1,000 Japanese, as far as I'm concerned. So I think it was a good move on Truman's part to drop that atomic bomb, drop 2 of them. And it's an amazing thing, the destruction that they will find. You've seen pictures like that. Boy, I'll tell you, it must have been something else. No, we thought that was a great idea. It worked out good because the war was over a couple of days later. The Japanese war.
Upon seeing those pictures and seeing the people that may have suffered, do you feel a little differently about it?
Now?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just part of the game. That's the thing I can say. It's too bad all those civilians got killed, but they weren't worrying about how many civilians they killed when they bombed us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's an old saying, it's tit for tat. Go ahead.
What do you think of what were your thoughts on the 9/11 attacks compared to Pearl Harbor?
Say that again.
What were your thoughts of the September 11 attacks compared to Pearl Harbor?
I don't know, I never really thought too much about comparing them. It was another Pearl Harbor, really, on a smaller scale. The principle was the same. It was a tough situation. I can't say too much about that because I really never thought about comparing it to Pearl Harbor. It was really no comparison, I don't think.
What do you think of the war documentaries that are shown today?
For example,
Ken Burns' The War.
what's the, what's that one we just gave back to Josh?
I can't hear. I can't hear you.
What was that video we just gave back?
Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers, you mean those shows like that? Did you see the Band of Brothers video at
No.
all? Boy, you should see it. Pretty good. So the new one just came out. Ryan? Was it
Ken
Ryan?
Burns.
Tim Burns? Did you see that video on the war?
It's very interesting.
That was good. That was really good because it wasn't really a movie as such like he's making today. You know, what they did, they took excerpts of actual photos made by the Signal Corps. They were the ones that made all the movies with the actual pictures of battles going on, real battles going on. So it wasn't like a storybook thing. That one that was just done. He did a great job, I think, and he took all the battles. The only thing he did is he kind of stuck with one organization, the 3rd Division, which I happened to be attached to at one time. But he went and took battles in Italy, and he took battles in Normandy, and the Battle of the Bulge, and so on. And there were real actual photographs. There was a movie made like the Band of Brothers was made by actors, you know. But this other show that just came out, I thought that was really good. That would give you young people a real idea of what was going on. How, you know, when they show people getting blown up, they were getting blown up in the movies. It was real. So I thought that guy did a really good job.
What is your opinion on the education of World War II?
Pardon me?
What is your opinion on today's education on World War II?
I'm afraid you're all going to forget about it, just like we probably forgot about World War I. You know, you got too many things on your mind today. But the only reason I would like all the young people to know about it, maybe it'll help never have it happen again, if you know what's going on. We didn't know what was going on, but you young people have a chance to know what's going on, and the leaders of the country will keep on you young people later on. So when somebody starts talking about war again, you want to speak out up and say, forget it. You know. But I don't think I don't know what they're teaching in school about World War II. Do they teach much of anything at all? In history classes, maybe?
I don't really know about it. I just have no class.
You didn't study anything at all?
I studied quite a bit of World War II.
Yeah. They should teach you more about World War II, because like the saying goes today, that if the other guys, not me, didn't win that war, you might be speaking German today or Russian, right? You heard that expression, I'm sure. And I'll tell you, if the Germans' armies had our equipment, it would have been a worse war. It might still be going on. To see, they were good fighters, but we had the equipment. And the American GIs are just as good fighters and better, I have to say. Even though we had a lot of equipment. What else, Mike?
Did you see any other commanders in the battlefield besides Frederick?
Yeah, I saw, in Italy, happened to see not in the battlefield itself, but in the rear echelon, I guess you might call it. I did see General Eisenhower. Just saw him in a Jeep, coming up an old muddy road over in Italy. And it was General Eisenhower and I think General Clark he was a commanding officer in Italy, General Clark. And they were, I suppose, looking things over to see what more trouble they could get us into. But I did see General Eisenhower over there. And, but they were, I saw some other generals, but I didn't know who they were.
Did you see any enemy commanders?
No. I saw I saw a lot of German officers, but not real high commanders, generals or anything like that. Most of the time the generals weren't supposed to come. My commanding officer was one of the only officers that would be right on the line up and doing the fighting. You see, we were right there. He used to tell his officers, who were my commanding officers, like lieutenants and captains, don't tell the men where to go. I want them to show them where to go. And that's the way he was. He got wounded 9 times, my General Fredericks. And because he stayed up on the line with us, they finally told him he had to stop. He's going to get killed. Sooner or later he'll run out of time, But I understand after the war, he was after my organization was broken up, he became the commanding officer of the 45th Division, I think. And then he retired. But I understand he got in a fight out in California in civilian life and got killed. Somebody shot him out there, General Fredericks. And that was it, after a couple of years after the war. But he was tough, good man. He would come and talk to me just like he would to another general. I was only a private, That's the way he was. My organization was made up of volunteers from the American Army and from the Canadian Army. Volunteers from Canada and volunteers from the United States. And now we're honorary members of the Canadian government, and their soldiers are honorary members of the United States. How can you remember all those questions you don't even look?
What were your thoughts on the battles in Russia upon
boy.
hearing about them?
Boy, they took an awful licking over there, didn't they? They had some awful winter battles over there. We lost thousands of Russians and thousands of Germans. I'm glad we weren't on that side fighting. I'm glad we were on this side fighting. And I also would like to say that I'm glad I was in Europe and not down in the Pacific. Boy, those boys down in the Pacific had an awful time. Fighting in those jungles and everything. At least we felt we were fighting human beings, the Germans. We never thought the Japanese were nothing but animals. And those guys were having an awful time down that fight. But that's all part of the game.
Did any of your buddies go fight in Battle of the Bulge?
No, see, when the Battle of the Bulge came, almost 2 years after we'd been fighting. We started out in Africa fighting. And the Battle of the Bulge was a bad battle, don't get me wrong. But we didn't get into the Battle of the Bulge because we weren't there at the Battle of the Bulge. We had to be there. We were down in southern France, taking all of the French Riviera. See, the Battle of the Bulge was up there, and we were down here in southern France. So we didn't really get involved with Battle of the Bulge, but we had battles down here that you don't hear about, but you hear about the Battle of the Bulge because it made a big movie. It was bad. Nothing was good in the war.
Did you see that the war as a necessary war?
No, I don't think it was necessary. I think we were forced into it with the Pearl Harbor. I guess maybe you'd call it necessary, but we were just forced into going into war. And then, of course, Germany was mixed up with the Japanese, so we all got tangled up all together. Question?
Good.
That's it?
Mhm.
All right.
See about wore out by now, John?
Sorry?
Is she worn out by now?
I think so.
It's been a long week.
All right.
Star,
All right, recording.
on now.
Yep.
These are purple hearts right here. That's a bronze star. I have to look at these again myself.
That's fine.
I don't watch them all day long. Oh, let's see. That's a World War II memorial badge we got. This was my organization right here, USA Canada. We have Canadian troops and American troops. And this is a medal from someplace over in Europe. This is our battle stars here. These are different battles that we were in here. Let's see. And this is a New York State star. This is a badge that we used to wear on our shoulder from Norway. See the boat right here, Norwegian boat.
Yep.
And these are just because you're a soldier. You just get to shoot a rifle.
All right.
This was in the. I didn't know about this till I got home. It was in the newspaper in Troy. Yeah, he made the papers then. This picture over here. This was in Rome. That's down in the city of Rome.
Nice picture.
That's when I had a chance to get dressed up.